So I'm Andrew. I've been a pharmacist for nearly 15 years. Worked a lot in retail previously, and now recently moved over to compounding. And I've just been loving the change. Felt very restricted in retail, and now with compounding, there's so many options for us, and so much different ways we can help. So she came in three months ago, and so she's got really red, inflamed, basically covering her whole body, and some particular sores around ankle area. So yeah, so the mother was like any new mother, she was tired and stressed, but this was really exaggerating it and putting a lot of extra burden on them and the family. And that they were desperate to get a resolution. After talking to them, definitely red flag was the fact of how much cortisone use they'd had. So they'd seen a dermatologist who had given them very strong prescription cortisone creams, which they've been using for well over 6 months. And I think they knew that it wasn't a great thing to do, but they were desperate. So yeah, one of the problems with high dose corticosteroids is that you can actually have like a rebound effect once you go off them, and especially for someone of her age, being so young, the steroids are actually absorbed as well into her system, and then that can affect her hormone balance in a variety of ways. So there's quite a few issues. So the standard would be to use moisturizer to try and prevent dryness, to try and stop further irritation, and then to use the steroids when there's a flare up to try and get on top of it, which would also help to prevent the redness and itching. But the steroids should only really be safe for short term use. So there's three limitations. One being the use of preservatives, which in commercially available products, and so they kill off the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria. The other issue is the pH, which of commercially available products is generally quite high, whereas we want it to be towards 4.5 is ideal for the skin. And then the third is the use of fatty acids. So the natural fatty acids is what the good bacteria eats essentially. And they don't have a particular nice feel or smell to them, which is why they've sort of been avoided in most commercially available products. But they're vital for the microbiome to thrive. So the microbiome is extremely important. It helps the body to kind of fight off the eczema and to maintain homeostasis, I guess. So what we find with basically every person I see who comes in with eczema, their pH is quite high and higher than we normally want it to be, about 4.5. So when it's up in that high range, it means that the microbiome isn't able to thrive, and it means that the skin isn't able to ward off the eczema, and also not. It means it leaves it quite dry, leaves it quite irritated, and then new skin's unable to form very well. So my first thoughts is we always go straight to the microbiome first, and to limit the steroid use. So we discussed with her the need to stop the steroids, ideally, which they had actually done, and that's something that they were very open to. And following on from that, we then focused on returning the skin's microbiome to where it wants to be. So by, as we mentioned before, the reduction, no preservative use, reduction of the pH, and the increase in fatty acids. Unfortunately, she came back a week later, and because there was so many scratch marks in her skin from the issues, we felt it was actually stinging when they were applying it. So we decided to take some of the water content out, make it more oil based, and they found this to be much better for her, and she found this to be much more soothing, and this actually reduced the itch and the pain considerably when they applied it. We then followed up again a couple of weeks later. They found that the pH had definitely reduced from about 6.9 to 6, and she was less irritated, but unfortunately the skin was still fairly red and inflamed. But they did notice a marked improvement in her itchiness, and her overall mood was a lot better. She came back again about 2 months later, and the mother was still fretting a bit about the fact that it hadn't got any worse, but it also hadn't got any better. And so it seemed that the child was still dealing with the steroid withdrawal, and also the fact that the microbiome is going to take some time to replenish. So we encouraged her to stick with the treatment and to kind of hold tight for another couple of months, because it was going to take time, especially because of the high level cortisone treatment that she'd had. So the mother was happy to do that, and we decided to continue on from there. On her final visit, we decided to increase the amount of anti-inflammatory fatty acids, because the skin was still quite red and inflamed. So by doing this, we put it into a topical cream for it. We also made a special oral blend of the anti-inflammatory fatty acids so that it worked internally as well as externally. And by doing this, it meant that she actually had no itch for the first time in nearly a year. And the mother was extremely happy with this. It meant that she was able to get some sleep. And it meant that the skin was much less irritated. So it definitely made a vast improvement. So that's where we're up to so far with Elizabeth's story. So there's still a little bit to go on the journey.